construction industry accounts for around 1 in 4 businesses in the UK, so it's vital to our economy. But over the past few years, it's taken a beating and fallen short with issues like Carillion and now another C, coronavirus. So it's heartening to find an exciting business in the sector doing well and, importantly, delivering on its promise. Let's meet Bhangals Construction Consultancy and its founder and award-winning entrepreneur, Parm Bhangal. Welcome, Parm. Nice to meet you.
Hi. Nice to meet you too, and thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
A pleasure to meet you. Now, look, you've achieved a terrific amount with Bhangals. So first tell me about yourself, then we'll talk about Bhangals. First, tell me about you.
So I started my career doing an apprenticeship. So I went to a groundworks and construction firm on like a summer internship. So I worked there for free for 6 weeks. And on the last week, the two directors brought me into a meeting. And they were like, we really like your work ethic, and we'd like to offer you an opportunity to go to university, study quantity surveying 1 day a week, and work for us 4 days a week.
Wow.
That wasn't an opportunity I was about to turn down. I really loved my 6 weeks with them. So I went on, I took that job. They sent me to university in Birmingham. I done day release there, successfully completed 5 years. Stayed with them. Then after I finished my degree, I moved to a firm in London on the consultancy side rather than on the contractor side. So I kind of worked both sides of the fence.
Yeah.
I didn't really like that London life. It was long days. It was tough. And then I was working with someone that really I didn't like working with. I didn't like his ethics. I didn't like his morals. I didn't like the way he ran his business. I didn't think it was right. So I decided to leave that 2010. So we had gone into the recession in 2008. Probably wasn't the best time to see. But started it out nevertheless. Landed my first contract, and that was up north, and never looked back since. To be fair.
Right, excellent. Okay, so what does Bhangals Construction Consultancy do, and how do you do it?
So we are quantity surveyors, estimators, and project managers. So we're essentially a whole packaged project management firm, and we take projects from conception through to completion, but we also offer different packages to different people. So if you only want tender packages, we can do that. If you want us to help you all the way through, we can do that. And then we have quite a big side of the business, which is our estimating side of the business, where we help contractors do taking off work. We help contractors compile their tenders and their estimates. So we have kind of two sides of the business.
Right, got you. Okay, so listen, I've been fascinated about reading about you and everything. What personally drives you?
I've been brought up in a family that works hard.
Right.
Now, my grandfather worked really, really hard. My mum, she worked really, really hard, and she still does to this day. So what drives me is the fact that I've always seen my family work really hard, and they've been able to provide nice things from doing that. I like success. I like helping people, and I like the fine things in life. I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth. My mum done the best that she could. She worked in a pen factory, so Crayola.
All right, yeah.
So as kids, we always had pens and pencils and things to draw. But she would work long days, and she would sacrifice a lot to make sure that we had everything. She could give us everything we could. And now, like with my little girl, I want to do the same for her. So I want to make sure that she grows up learning that it's important to work hard, because you can achieve whatever you want to achieve as long as you're willing to put it in. So that's what drives me.
Yeah, it's an excellent ethic there, because everybody thinks it's just going to come so easy to them these days, don't they? So tell me about the awards you've won what they mean to you, and the benefits to your business.
We've had a really good 3 years of winning a lot of awards. You know, a couple of the awards that really touched me were at the National Building and Construction Awards. We won Quantity Surveyor of the Year 2019.
Wow. Yeah.
And at the National SME Awards, I won Young Entrepreneur of the Year.
Wow.
So aside from that, I've won a lot of local awards, Small Business of the Year, Employer of the Year. So we've won a lot of awards. And the awards, they're not just for me, they're for the team as well. You know, when we won Employer of the Year, one Small Business of the Year, High Growth Business of the Year, it really drives the team, because the business wouldn't be half the size, a quarter of the size of what it is now without the people that we have around us. And it's the team that drive the business forward. Although I'm the founder and the MD, without my team, the business wouldn't be where it is today. So it's really important for me as an individual to win awards, but it's really important for the team as well, because it's their hard work that gets us there as well. And in terms of the awards of how they've won, how they've helped the business, it's just great for PR. You know, when a client looks for a quantity surveyor and they have 3 or 4 that they want to pick from, and then they research you, most people will have a quick flick through Google and see what you're all about, and they see the success and they see the awards. It kind of tilts the scales a bit towards you. Yeah. Which has really helped, because, you know, I had a client that came in, and he had been to 5 QSs, and he wanted to build a house in the middle of the forest, 60 acres, really lovely. And he came into our office, and the first thing he said to me was, "That is a very impressive awards cabinet you've got there." And I said, "Yes, I'm very proud of that." And we won that business. And I think it was just because he liked us as people. Yeah. And he saw that we've had great success in the last few years.
Brilliant. I think awards are fantastic. The only downside is all those dinners you've got to go to receive the award. Okay. Yeah. Right. What's your leadership style? And I love the way you were talking about people, by the way, because people in construction, they seem to be abused or not cared for. Surely to have achieved so much, your leadership must have been one of a bit of push hard at times, or not?
It is. We all work hard. My work ethic is I'm always the first one in and the last one out. I will never ask you to do anything that I'm not prepared to do myself, and my entire team know that. If I have to get involved in doing an invoice or printing off some drawings, I'll do it. Nothing is beneath. You know, if I have to clean the toilets or clean the kitchen in the office, I will do it. And everyone in the office knows that. You know, and I always say to all my team, I don't care what position you are in the business, you're only as good as everyone else. If the admin team make a mistake, it's going to hinder us all the way through. So it's really important that everyone works together. Everyone makes mistakes. So I'm not that type of person that tries to criticize people or penalize people for making a mistake, because we all make mistakes. I make mistakes. I make mistakes every day. What I try to say to the team is make sure that if you do make a mistake, it gets caught in the office. We try and put the right principles together in the office so that mistakes get caught within our 4 walls. Often, you know, sometimes you have times where they do leave the office and then you have to rectify them. But leadership-wise, I try and support my team. I have an open door policy, so I do have my own office, but my door is never closed. So everyone can always come to me. I'm always happy to speak to everyone. And I just, you know, I don't believe in leaving your problems at home. I don't believe in work and life are 2 separate things, because they're not. It's impossible. It's human nature. If you've got a problem at home, you can't just switch that off at 9 o'clock when you come to work. It's going to be there. So why, if someone's going through something really tough, are you going to pile on the workload just as much as you would have done before? Because they're not going to be in the right frame of mind. So you're better off saying, right, okay, I know something's going on, so I'm going to ease the workload. you've got two choices. You either can be in work, or you can have some time to yourself.
Yeah.
And, is there anyone else in the team you want to tell, just so we can get people to support you? And we've had it before. A lot of the time people say, actually, you know what, I do want to come to work because I just want to forget about it and get on with my work, but I don't want the pressure. So you just got to help people. You've got to work together and support people. And that's the type of leader I do try to be.
Excellent. So I'm very impressed with everything that Bhangals are doing, but the construction industry tries to get away with things. What services does Bhangal offer that are innovative in your sector?
What we try to do is be innovative at all stages. So, like a few years ago, we've got a good developer of ours, and he's a pilot. He's a pilot for British Airways. So he was always flying around the world. Mm-hmm. So I always found it was best to help him to make videos of things, so video walkthroughs on sites and doing a video conference, and send him that information, because then he had a live walkthrough that he could see visually wherever he was in the world. So I always believe in trying to adapt to people and adapt to our clients and work in a way that is suitable for them. So, not everyone works the 9 to 5:30. You have to work around people. And if you're working with, like, we build a lot of bespoke houses for clients. Clients if they're working, they don't have time in our working day to speak to us about their project because they're working. So we have to be able to work around them. It's like I was talking about my client where we're building the house in 60 acres. Now, he has a business in Singapore. I spoke to him yesterday. It was Bank Holiday Monday, but that doesn't bother me because it's time. It was a good time for him. So I booked that appointment and I was like, I will happily speak to you. I think it's about adapting to every single one of your client situations and adapting to what the economy throws at you. Like with coronavirus, I put out a lot of information. We were putting out videos every 2 or 3 days to support people, to help people, good advice. Now, a lot of people might think, well, you could charge good money for that advice. Absolutely, I could. But that's not the point.
No.
The point is building a brand, building a legacy that people, next time someone does need a QS, they've seen 30 or 40 videos in the last 8 weeks from Bhangals that I've really tried to help. I've not tried to charge someone £150 to write a letter. I've spoken to them on the phone and said, this is what you need to do. If you need further support, I'm happy to do that. But, this is something you could do yourself.
Yeah.
Because it isn't always about just charging people, small-minded business. It's about supporting people because inevitably they will come back to you and you will do business together.
Yeah, excellent. Yes. Look, the construction sector, we both discussed, has had a rocky time over the past few years, even before the corona element with things like Carillion. So where do you see change in the near future within the sector?
Change is a difficult one. Construction sector is one of them sectors that it's always worked in the way it's worked, and it has got a bad reputation for a lot of things. Payments being one. People inevitably a lot of the time always go for the cheapest quote and then get burned. Sometimes the good old Homes Under the Hammer and other TV programs don't entirely help because it makes things sometimes look like they're really easy. Becoming a developer is really easy, but people don't realize to put a construction project together, it takes thousands of components and sometimes dozens or if not hundreds of people. So that's a big task. Coordinating that is a big task. And if you don't know how to do that, you really need to employ someone to do that. So we do need change. And I think, we probably need to tighten up our legislations around contractors and payment terms and people just need to work in a more ethical way together. Like I've seen people working together in the last 8 to 10 weeks, more than I've seen them working together in the last 10 years. And that's because everyone's in the same position. Everyone's maybe struggling or got something that's not quite going right for them. Projects are slowed down, everyone's taking a hit. But people are being considerate towards each other. And I think a lot more of that is required in our industry.
Yeah. I said in my opening piece that a massive 1 in 4 businesses in the UK are in construction in some form or other. We've seen a lot of demise of businesses just recently as I watch Building Magazine or whatever it may be. Do you think that generally businesses are robust enough or resilient enough?
It depends on business to business. I think the biggest problem in our industry is cash flow. And it's really important. I always say that to clients. You need cash flow projections. You need to make sure you're cash flowing your business correctly. It's a massive industry with a lot of opportunity. So, you know, any strong business can get through as long as they cash flow well, they're structured well. It comes back to the ethics. They're ethical and they try and work together with whoever they're trying to work with. But for me, the big thing is the cash flow. I think cash flow is really important in this industry. And making sure that you've got that nailed.
Yeah, I learned early on that turnover's vanity, profit sanity, but cash is king. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Look, what 3 things worries you about the construction sector, and what 3 things excite you about the sector?
The worrying thing about the sector is how hard it gets hit by recessions, for instance. You know, when it gets hit by a recession, it sees a lot of people out of work. And unfortunately, it's a bit like this coronavirus. A lot of people in the industry are self-employed. A lot of our subcontracted trades are self-employed. So they get hit hard because their income goes from X amount a week to, oh, we don't need you anymore, sorry. Yeah. And then it just stops. That's the worry. Another worry, I would say, is sometimes I see quite a big lack of experience in the industry. So, you know, people are not entirely getting educated the right way. You bring people on, you bring labourers on that they kind of see their way through, or you bring juniors on that kind of see their way through. But people are not getting educated in the way that they need to be educated. I think education in our industry needs to be tightened up. We definitely need to improve the way we educate our juniors coming through and the way that they're trained. Things that excite me are the opportunities. There's absolutely, like I said before, there's massive opportunity. There's construction all the time. We need to build houses, you know, civils work. There's so much opportunity, and it's not just opportunity in this country. And I say this to any junior that we bring into our team. I say, we're teaching you a skill, but remember that you can take this skill anywhere in the world. Once you know this skill, no one's ever going to be able to take it away from you. You could go to Australia and you could be an estimator. You just need to figure out what their building regs and their building control and everything is in that country. But the same principles apply. So that's what excites me. It's global. You can go anywhere and do anything. The growth of the industry excites me because there's so much opportunity to grow your business if you work in the right way. Huge opportunities for growth because, again, it's a massive industry. And the other thing I really like about it and what excites me is the variety. Because you have, like, we see clients that are, you know, building small porches for people doing garage conversion. And then at the other end, we have clients that are building 1,000, 2,000 flats a year. So, you know, they're building football stadiums or there's so much variety and there's so much to learn. And that really excites me about the industry, because if you like variety and you like doing different things, it's a great industry to be in.
Excellent. Yeah. So how has your business adapted to new technology demands in the sector, such as BIM, which is building information modeling?
BIM's a difficult one because it's available and people are using it, but it's very reliant on the architects being up to speed with BIM. So it's fine to say that BIM's available, but you basically need to educate your whole design team around designing in a BIM model for then it to give you the right output that you need. So we've got BIM modeling in our office, and we do use it. How often do we use it? Very rarely, because again, it may be used in a much larger projects, but when you come back down to smaller residential individual builds and things sub probably 2 million, it probably very rarely gets used. So yes, it's something that would be great to uptake, but I think a lot more is required to be done in our industry before we get there.
But it's good to see that Bhangals can go from the very small right the way to the top.
Yes.
You have a committed philosophy on excellence in customer service. So what's that philosophy?
Don't think short term. I'm not about thinking short term. Sometimes clients say to us, "Parm, I need this," and you're like, "Well, yeah, I'll do that for you. It's no problem." A lot of people go, "Oh yeah, give us 150 quid, we get that done for you." Like when a client comes to us and say, "Well, why should I work with you?" Because I'm not interested in earning £1,000 off you in the next month. I'm interested in earning £250,000 off you in the next 10 years. And that's how you grow businesses, not from thinking short term. You've got to build them synergies, you've got to build them relationships, and you've got to think long. Because I've seen it with clients. I had a company when I first started out. I used to do estimates for them 9 years ago. And when I first started estimating for them, they were doing bathroom conversions. So we only pricing jobs 3, 5, 8K. Probably about 3 years ago, we priced a £5 million school for them, and they won that. And back then, they were a small client, but now, massive client. But had we not seen that and looked into them and thought, well, you know what, these guys are looking to grow, so we want to partner with them, because as they grow, we'll grow. So it is about thinking long term, because if you work with the people that got the same goals and drive as you, your business will grow, because they will continue to grow and you'll grow with them.
Yeah, I wish more people thought customer lifetime like you do, rather than the fast book. So how do you measure this excellence that you're delivering on a continuous basis? Because slippage can occur, can't it?
Slippage can occur, and slippage does occur, and it does happen. Customer care is one of them things that's reliant on people. And if one of your people's having a bad day, the wrong things get said, and it's about talking to clients. And sometimes your frustrations come across on the phone or in an email. And I always say to my team, just pick the phone up, because if you're having a tennis match by emails, and it's great to have a trail of emails and communication. However, sometimes people can interpret things the wrong way. So it's about picking up the phone and making people understand that you have to communicate, and someone has to understand you and you have to understand them. So like you say, slippage, it does happen, but we constantly monitor that. We constantly monitor our client base, our repeat business. That's really important to us. Our repeat business is huge to us. We always make sure we call clients and make sure that they're happy. And, if they're not happy, we try and understand what they're not happy about and adapt and make sure that they are happy next time. So we are constantly looking at our client base and speaking to our client base to make sure that they are happy. But yeah, it does happen where clients are sometimes not happy. But it's about finding out what happened, and that sequence trail. Where did the piece fall down? What happened?
Yeah,
and then making sure that piece never falls down again. Yeah. And if you have to put a system or process around that piece, put in something in to say, well, this is where it fell down, and it could fall down here again. So we've got to put something in place to make sure that don't fall down again. And it's just learning from your mistakes.
Excellent. Yeah. Parm, as we come to conclusion, can I ask you to leave 3 messages ringing in the ears of our listeners and viewers on how to be a genuinely successful or remarkable business that people want to recommend, as happens at Bangles?
I think the first thing that I live by is hard work. Anyone that thinks you can run a successful business without hard work has got another thing coming. It will not happen. You have to work hard. You have to be willing to put it in. You have to think long term. Like I said, it's a must. You know, we set quarterly goals. We set yearly goals. We have 3 yearly goals, 5 yearly goals, 10 yearly goals. So we have everything from short term to long term, and we do like to think long because it's important. So you have to think long term. The other thing is just you have to care. You have to care about the people that you work with, the people that you work for. In terms of the people that you work for, so clients, you do have. I always say to my team, especially my estimating team, when you're doing an estimate for a client, don't think that it's just a paperwork exercise, because if you make a mistake, you could potentially destroy their lives. They've got family, they've got kids. If you make a mistake on an estimate and then they pay the price for it, there's things that can go wrong in their lives just because you haven't concentrated at that point. So don't forget about what you're doing. Care about the people. Though you might not know them, you need to care about what you're doing. So I really take a caring approach with everyone I work with, and I like to go out of my way for people. I always like to live by my word. So if I have to stay late to get something done because I've told someone I'll get it to them in the morning, I won't just go home and just be like, well, I said I'll get it, but I'll call them in the morning. I'll tell them it'll be the afternoon. If I've said it's going to be the morning and I have to work the night to get it done, I will do that.
Living by your word, the last words. Thank you very much indeed for our interview today. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think there's lots of lessons that most businesses will learn from listening and hearing from you. Thank you, Parm.
Thank you very much.